Hey, good morning, everybody. It's me, John. Today is Sunday, August 7th, and tomorrow we will be meeting again at the Clinton County Courthouse, Clinton County Family Court, 10:30 a.m. There will be the same 25 to 30 people in the courtroom, I imagine, with people making ridiculous claims for custody of my daughters. There's been a lot of, um, I don't know, when I looked at this new scheduling order, you see certain things that are missing. Now, the family offenses have been removed. That's the shit that Kristen and Ricky did. That's the shit that it, that stuff's gone. And from the best I can tell, they made Ricky's criminal charges in Peru go away, because I can't seem to track down any scheduled court appearance for him or any place where he pled guilty so far. So that's another dead end. But tomorrow morning will be another opportunity to watch these people double down and virtually hang themselves by legitimizing Keith Bruno and the Clinton County Kangaroo Court. This isn't legitimate with Keith Bruno sitting there. And for people to keep making these claims and everything with an appeal pending before the 3rd Judicial District Court of Appeals in Albany that was put on the November docket. And the guardian ad litem, Cheryl Maxwell, she's not going to argue against that thing. She's doing everything she can to not have to, make a claim or a declaration or a new filing after she read that. So that slowed her down a little bit. But now we got Lynn Ormsby trying to kick the can down the road a little further while there's these other things going on other levels. Now, Ormsby is trying to make sure that she gets custody for at least 6 months. In New York State, if you can establish residence for those girls for 6 months, it strengthens your claim for them to be kept in one place. And that doesn't make any sense in this case, because what you see from these people are deliberate acts by Bruno, Lawless, Cruikshank, Maxwell, to make sure that no accommodations are made for me to ever even talk to my children. And that is there in order to attempt to provoke me into doing something stupid when all of this reprehensible behavior is swirling around my daughters. Things that are revolve around domestic violence, with Ricky's history of domestic violence, who did 5 years upstate for beating the shit out of a woman in Schuyler Falls, as well as many other charges. Then you've got Kristen, and I don't talk about Kristen in these videos because Kristen is the biological mother of my 3 daughters, and I prefer not to tear her down. This has gone way too far and is doing incomprehensible damage to my daughters. First, you tell them by virtue of lies and no evidence and brainwashing by Kathy Dupree and Kristen and anybody else, Scruffy, Ricky, all of these different people, brainwashing my daughters into thinking that I don't care about them, or worse yet, that I've done something, horrible, so that's why I'm not around. That is not the truth in any way, shape, or form. The only people that have kept me away from seeing my children are the people that I just mentioned. Lawless, Bruno, Cruikshank, Maxwell, Wiley. I mean, it goes on and on. Every time I ask for help, every time I ask one of these agencies to intervene in some way, they've just shot me down, and it is disgusting. So now that we have that appeal pending in Albany, and Maxwell asked for it, I guess, to be put on the rocket docket. She wants some kind of expedited decision. This is getting strange. Now, what I'm curious to see tomorrow is whether or not Bruno's going to continue this sham. There was a really weird timing that went on around the June 17th court appearance and that sham, which I've talked about in a couple other videos, my God, I can't wait to see the transcript of that. That reads like, I don't know what. I've never seen anything like that before, or can't imagine what this is going to look like tomorrow. Every level of my expectations and what I know when it comes to due process, when it comes to following the law, when it comes to anything that makes normal, legal sense, has been discarded for, for Bruno Lawless. And right now it's for Maxwell. Maxwell, anything that she says is, given wholesale adoption by the court. And that's like, I can't explain that one. I mean, that's just beyond the pale. She doesn't follow the law, and she hides behind this best interest of the children thing, which has been shot down at the Supreme Court level. I think the petitioner was named Troxley. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of precedent out there where these third parties can't come in and challenge, biological parents, even for visitation. These people want custody, and it's being entertained in this court. And basically what they're saying is, look, you haven't seen your kids in 3 years. Do you know what those 3 years have looked like for me? Okay, let's go back to, 2019, 2020. I was in 2019, in the fall of October, November 2019, I was down at the FBI in Albany. I was at the governor's office dropping off records and documentation to Crystal Gazzalone, the record supervisor at was then Governor Cuomo's office, and Letitia James, I think, was still the Attorney General. So I dropped documents off there also. I have multiple filings with the Board of Judicial Conduct that have been ignored. Anyway, New York is just unbelievably corrupt, and it only gets worse as you go further north. There's 100 miles that you travel through when you're coming up I-87 through the Adirondack Park, and something changes when you're going through the Adirondack Park. When you get on the north side, it's like a different world up here, and New York really doesn't, pay attention to what goes on up there. Nobody wants to know. Nobody gives a damn. There are no reporters in the courtroom. There's no accountability. Nobody reports on what these people are doing, or the half-assed decisions they make, or the lives they destroy, or the families they wreck along the way. So we'll see tomorrow. This is going to be some sort of scheduling order, but like I said, I haven't seen anything except this temporary custody order, which in itself is, I only talked about on a cursory level as I went through it. If I went through it again, I mean, there are so many different, things to attack, and if they're going to, shove this through again, and deny my rights, then I'm just going to, attack this at the appellate level. This is too far along for me to start arguing things all over again in Clinton County Family Court just because somebody says jump. I mean, there have never been any extraordinary circumstances, any reason whatsoever for me to be denied access to my children. Again, remember when I came up here in 2017. 2016 was a very rough year for me. 2016, I had brain surgery, reconstructive jaw surgery, a stage 2 knee replacement, and sports hernia surgery. So when I came up here in April of 2017, I was nothing but hopeful in anticipation of seeing my children again. But what I was met with was such vicious hatred that Lawless threw me in jail as soon as I came up here. He threw me in jail with $10,000 cash, $10,000 cash bail, because this guy, the illustrious Judge Lawless, wanted me to sit in jail for as long as possible so that he could fuck with me like he fucks with everybody. This is as he builds a narrative about you that he uses against you in court. Anything that he can use against you, he does. And that's what Justin told me. That's what's documented on the internet. There used to be a website called Judicial Buzz that was taken down. And I talked to the webmaster, some guy out in Jersey, somewhere in Jersey, I think. And he told me that, one of the reasons why it was taken down was because there were so many complaints about this Judge Lawless. 31,000, I believe, at the time. But that's the level of just unbelievable corruption here. It's discriminatory, it's biased. I mean, the 14th Amendment protects my rights. due process. The 14th Amendment protects my children's rights. Parental rights are protected, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those things are ingrained in the U.S. Constitution. When they're challenged, the way I read it, and maybe somebody can argue the other way, I'm not sure, but the way I read it is that parents have a fundamental right to raise their children and make decisions about their lives, unless they're determined to be quote-unquote unfit. And this has never happened in my case. This is all just sticking it up my ass. Like I just described what Lawless did. He threw me in prison in January of 2014 when I came up here. He threw me in prison in 2017. He threw me in prison a year later in 2018 when I was trying to have Kristen served with, the first time that I objected to the child support order because I saw Kristen's perjured testimony in her application for child support where Kristen says that, we lived together in Pennsylvania for over 5 years, and that's where our children were born. And, we lived in Montgomery County at a residence. We lived in a place in Bucks County. That's all documented in Kristen's application. At the same time, while Kristen's applying for that, Kristen and her mother, Kathy Dupree, this is Kristen Dupree, Kathy Dupree, her mother, or Katie Rock, her aunt, who are now, they want custody of my daughters. They were committing federal and New York State income tax fraud. I'm sure there are other frauds in there, but these were the biggest ones. They took advantage of the loophole created by my tax-free status as a disabled veteran. The money that I received as disability income from the federal government is not in itself taxable. That would be like double jeopardy. They can't, like the federal government paying me money and then taxing it again. So what Kristen and her mother did was use my daughter's identities, their names, their social security numbers, their birth dates, and then falsified where they were born and who they were dependents of on federal and New York State income tax returns. From what I could see and from what the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance could see, from like 2007 to 2013, this is going on, and I couldn't really look further. But it's been identified. Clinton County Family Court knows this. It's in every petition, motion, whatever that I filed as part of this, circle of hell that my daughters have been in, where you've got all of these different financial frauds going on. You've got domestic violence, as we just talked about with Ricky Carnahan, and the stuff with Kristen, I will not get into out of respect for the mother of my children. I am asking, and this is in the case of all of this, as a biological parent here of these three girls, I refuse to let these third parties come in here and try to get custody of these girls. I'll fight you all the way till the end. So it's really stupid if you go further than this, because this is going to get tossed out in Albany just on the conflict of interest thing for Bruno. So it's going to be reversed. I'm going to get custody of my daughters. And if you keep arguing, this in the court, once you already know what's pending, I don't know what to say for you. I mean, Weintraub wants me to, give him, a copy of the appeal. And I'm not giving him a copy of the appeal. He doesn't act in good faith whatsoever. Neither does his clients, like I just said, because they're guilty of committing all these frauds. Yet here they are standing in the court as if they have any standing before the court, trying to get custody of four little girls. And again, it's about the money coming from Social Security, coming from child support. They'll get about $2,200 to $2,300 a month tax-free just for having custody of my three daughters. That's what you get. And that's really weird, too, because just like I said about the double jeopardy thing, you would think that would apply with them being able to, go get child support, take it directly out of my Social Security disability payment, while I'm paying child support in New York. But that's the world of a non-custodial parent, regardless of the illegal circumstances that surround the orders that were obtained fraudulently by Kristen and her attorney Bruno and the judge Lawless back in 2012 when they entered into that conspiracy against me. And Kristen documents all of it several times, but most obviously in that one email to me, when I was sitting in Graterford where Kristen lays out. Now, don't forget, Kristen has a paralegal degree. That's where Kristen and I met. Lansdale School of Business, paralegal school is where Kristen and I met. She's extremely smart. Most of the time, the only way that I could beat her on anything, I damn sure couldn't type faster than her, or I damn sure couldn't think faster than her. I had to rely on my experience, to be able to do a lot of different things in class that, let me feel like, Kristen wouldn't kick my ass any time. She's that smart. I mean, Kristen is that smart. It's a shame that, it's been so misguided and applied into the wrong areas. But that's how old this T-shirt is. This T-shirt, Adirondacks, was given to me by Kristen probably like 12 years ago. God, this thing, it's been everywhere. And just like me, I'm still here. All those different surgeries, and then being diagnosed with cancer a year ago and fighting through that. Now remember, the court pretends like there's some abandonment issue. Just in this last year, since August, when I was diagnosed with cancer and told what my chemotherapy and radiation schedule was going to be, I asked for emergency visitation and was denied by Bruno. The whole thing dismissed. Then in November, when I was notified that I was going to have my esophagus removed on January 24th, I petitioned the court again and was denied even telephone visitation or contact with my children. Them going back to this June 2017 order, which, based on what I just told you, I mean, hell, I came up here, like I said, acting in good faith, and basically was kicked in the teeth, and have been ever since. False claims. Now we're going to have, what the hell's his name? Blind Rob thinks he's going to go fishing for some bullshit. I mean, stop, man. None of this has been determined in the past. None of it's going to be You people got to go already. You got to stop making these claims against the biological parents, especially because no determination of fitness has been made. If you want to have a determination of fitness, good luck, but stop this right now. Again, I'm having another endoscopy on August 22nd, and this is not good for me physically to keep going through this all the time. I can't tell you what it's like to have post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression. What it's like to wake up, some mornings absolutely paralyzed in fear and clusters of panic attacks where I can't get out of that hospital bed where I woke up, after being air transported to Philadelphia and then performing emergency brain surgery, and there's the two holes right there where they went into my head, then performing emergency brain surgery that saved my life. So, lots of trauma, lots of problems. After that surgery, when I got to Coatesville, I requested some type of telephone contact while I was laying, in a rehabilitation unit at Coatesville VA Medical Center, and Lawless denied me any type of telephone contact then. This was Lawless setting a trap for me, and what he did was set this up. He created legal jeopardy in a way that there was an open bench warrant for me, and that's what I got arrested on when I went up to 2017, some bullshit harassment charge, which is another part of the conspiracy that they laid out. If I would have it's a long story, but we're like almost up to 20 minutes with this, and I could talk for another 20 minutes, but, excuse me, I'd like to go for a bicycle ride today. It's going to be 90 degrees, so I should try to get out early. If my daughters see this, Elizabeth, I love you. Victoria, I love you. Aurelia, I love you, little girls. Like I said, I'm fighting in every way, shape, or form. These people are pretending that I don't have standing in court. Even Elizabeth told you, we're John's kids. John has rights. My 14-year-old is smarter than all of you, and she knows that I have rights. And she is expressing the fact that, she expects to see me at some point. But they have no idea how depraved this court has been and how deliberate their actions are to try to frustrate me, while at the same time denying me even the most basic of parental rights with my children, and holding up that order from 2017 like it's some trophy, instead of trying to, come up with some way, to accommodate, a disabled veteran like me. I mean, this is how they say thank you for your service in Plattsburgh. They say fuck you is what they say, and I'm living proof of that. But the real damage, like I said, is done to those girls. And the fact that I've been in your face, it's on like Donkey Kong. Peace.